What's going on, guys? You're watching Spectre React, your favorite channel for reviews, reactions, and theories. And today, we're going to be talking about Friday's episode of WandaVision, which is creatively titled Episode 6. Here we go. All right, now, this episode, in my opinion, was the best one so far. They had a lot of questions raised and also a lot of answers given.
For sure. As you may know already, unfortunately, most of this episode was leaked, and at least the most important scenes were already leaked, and now I kind of feel bad about reporting on it myself. But the good thing about it is that there was a really cool scene right at the end, which we should talk about right now, where Wanda really expands the anomaly. And the question really is, to what end can she expand this anomaly? And now, is it enough of a threat to call in the cavalry?
I mean, we've heard that from Feige that she's the most powerful Avenger, and I really think that this is one of the best opportunities to show the full extent of her power. But at the same time, there might be a cap on it. Like, can she engulf the entire world? And if so, what are the ramifications?
Yeah, and also, like, we know that she's the villain, or not, we don't know that she's the villain, but we know that she's going to be a part of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Is Doctor Strange going to be one of the people who comes in now that she's expanded her anomaly?
Yeah, I mean, in the comics, Doctor Strange is the person to kind of put an end to all of Wanda's nonsense. So maybe they might adapt part of that storyline into the MCU, like Strange being the one to stop this at the end of WandaVision. But at the same time, the anomaly alters the DNA of those inside it, we learned. And that could lead to the creation of mutants in the MCU. Plus, Disney owns the word now instead of the Age of Ultron movie where they had to, like,
Instead of enhanced people that they used
yeah,
to say
they
earlier.
had to, like, dance
That
around.
was really awkward in Age of Ultron where they were like, it's the enhanced guy. Yeah, I'm glad they can say mutants
And there
now.
was also that deleted scene with Nick Fury, like, mentioning mutants, and they had to take it out. Like,
hmm Moving on, we have Vision, who actually tries to leave Westview.
yeah, Vision's not having it. He just completely tries to dip, and he runs into Agnes, who does some really creepy stuff. So basically, like, as we've seen in the promo, like, Vision wakes Agnes up, and there's this whole exchange where she's like, "Am I dead?" And Vision's like, "Nope. Why would you say that?" And she's like, "Because you are." But then we see, like, a scene that we didn't really see in that trailer.
Right, she says all is lost and then starts laughing. Agnes, is she a victim in all this? Because we know that when we say Agnes, everyone immediately jumps to Agatha Harkness. And in my mind, I'm kind of like, at this point, I'm thinking either they're gonna give us a curveball and she's Mephisto or something, or she's just a victim here. And the whole curveball was that we were meant to think that she was the villain when she was just a victim and Wanda is the real villain in all of this.
Yo, but that laugh was creepy as hell. And I think the theme is, of this episode at least, the Halloween episode, is kind of like bringing out the true colors in everybody, right? Quicksilver's got his hair from the comics. Vision and Wanda have their comic accurate uniforms. And Agnes is dressed as a witch. So I think that's a dead giveaway that she is connected to or is Agatha Harkness.
Oh yeah, I still think she's Agatha Harkness, but at the same time, maybe the whole point is that she's still not in control.
Yeah, and speaking of control, where the hell is this third party guy that's controlling all of this? If it's Mephisto, we've got like 3 episodes left, so you better show up, man. Or if it's Nightmare, you better show up, right?
Yeah, someone needs to show up. They even leaked it in, or they teased it in that promo poster. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw it.
There was this whole promo poster where they were like, "Hey, look at this creepy skull guy in the back," and so if you got to show up at some point, right?
100%. Uh, there was also this really creepy commercial, and they, like, changed up the animation style, which I really appreciate. Nothing wrong with a little bit of novelty, but the commercial, as opposed to previous ones, wasn't as clear. I didn't really connect the dots. Like with the Stark toaster, that was pretty clear as a reference to Wanda and Pietro's the Stark bomb that had landed in Sokovia when they were young. But this one was about this kid that, like, refused this snack. He ate a snack, and the snack was keeping him alive. Also called a magic snack. But then once he stopped eating it,
And he couldn't open it.
oh yeah, he couldn't open it, and then he died. And I think that's a reference to like Wanda's magic keeping like all these kids alive in the neighborhood. But that's a really morbid thing to think about, you know?
Yeah, it might be moving on to Quicksilver's line right here where he says, "Do you just bring the kids out for a cameo?" Now, what does that mean? Does that mean the kids existing, or where are the kids only here for certain events? What are the kids doing?
Yeah, I mean, let's bring it back to the first episode, or second episode, I should say, right? There were no kids at that talent show, so like, why are they all pulling up now?
Yeah, it's very confusing. Anyways, moving on to Quicksilver for real. Is Evan Peters playing Pietro, or is it a different version? Or the most extreme theory that you actually have, which is that he's Mephisto.
Let us know what you guys think in the comments, because I want to hear what you guys have to say. But I think he's Mephisto, because I don't think someone's brother would go out and be like, "Oh, I'm not a stranger, but I'm your brother." Like that's such a sus thing to say. And it's clear they also have like a different history. Wanda remembers certain things that Pietro doesn't remember, and vice versa. So there's definitely a memory discrepancy going on over there.
And Aaron Taylor Johnson's his chemistry with Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda in that movie was a lot more friendly, and it makes sense because they had been through hell together. So it's kind
Yeah,
of that unbreakable bond. Whereas
shared
this guy
history.
is kind of very different. He's like, it's not like your dead husband can die twice, which is a ridiculous thing to say at that time.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of deserves that blast that Wanda gave him. But at the same time, he, in my opinion, is a pretty good uncle to Wiccan and Speed. And it was a pretty good scene. It was a pretty touching scene when Quicksilver realized that Speed had inherited the power from his uncle.
Yeah, speaking of, why is it that they don't have any of Vision's powers? It's almost like Vision didn't really help in the process. Now, a little bit of background research has brought us to realize that in the comics, the twins are actually shards of Mephisto.
Yeah,
So maybe they're going that route. Maybe this is all part of Mephisto's big plan.
I certainly think that could be the case. Mephisto could certainly be utilizing this anomaly as a means by which to take Wanda's children and not really have her be aware of it. Because as we all know, what we think is real in the anomaly and outside of the anomaly, they're not the same, right?
Mhm. Inside the anomaly, everything is being controlled by Wanda, as we could see with the lady who I've affectionately named Lady Glitch. She's the one putting the clothes on the
Yeah, the
clothesline,
crying
and
lady,
that
right?
one single tear is coming down her cheek, and that really creeped me out because it shows that they're all in pain, and I don't think Wanda's really all the way in control of this.
Yeah, there was a scene where like a helicopter from Sword got caught in the anomaly and it turned into a hot air balloon, which is just some
Hmm.
crazy stuff. There's clearly like reality altering things that are happening. And when Vision tried to escape the anomaly, like his body was getting torn apart. Like it was like there was almost a resistance to this anomaly that he had developed.
Yeah, and people are saying the Vision has some of the most death scenes ever in the MCU. Yeah, he's definitely up there. He's up there with Doctor Strange, who had like a billion of them with that scene with Dormammu, and he's up with Loki. It's definitely Vision's number three. Anyways, outside the anomaly, we see Hayward, who is really butting heads with Monica Rambeau. And we also find out from a little hacking that Darcy does is that Hayward is tracking Vision so that he can potentially weaponize him. That's probably the main goal of Hayward. We've had theories, everything ranging from he's Mephisto to he's a Skrull or he's just sus. At this point, I'm stuck with he's just really sus.
He's just an asshole.
Yeah, he's just extremely sus, and he escapes, which I really wasn't. I really wish he hadn't escaped. I kind of
Yeah,
wanted
bro.
him to get sucked into the anomaly.
I want to see a 90s version of Director Hayward. That would have been funny as hell.
Yeah, that would have been really funny. Anyways, other people who escape are Monica and Jimmy Woo, and I assume that they are going to go meet with this aerospace engineer who I think is going to be Reed Richards, and who is trending on Twitter at this moment. People are theorizing that he's going to be played by John Krasinski. Nothing is confirmed, though. They could always bring an old actor back who's played the role in the past. What are your thoughts on John Krasinski playing Reed Richards?
See, I'm looking forward to it because he was hilarious in The Office, but at the same time, he has shown his versatility in things like Jack Ryan and A Quiet Place. So
Amazing
yeah,
series, by the way.
he's a standout.
Yeah, I think he would do a really good job. And you know what? That makes sense to me because Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany have been going to every big media outlet, every big medium, whatever media outlet, and being like, guys, there's this huge cameo, and I can't believe it hasn't been leaked yet. I
Yeah,
I think that if this is the cameo, if Reed Richards, played by whoever, John Krasinski or not, is the cameo, that would be amazing, and I'm shocked that that hasn't leaked yet. And I would put that up there on Luke Skywalker level. I don't know if you would
yeah.
as well.
This whole speculation reminds me of like all that stuff we were doing about like who is the Jedi that they're gonna meet on Tython. That kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, and it was Luke, so I could see them bringing in Fantastic Four right here and
Yeah,
the entire squad right there.
it fits
Also,
in.
there's a whole section of Wanda's comics with Doctor Doom. So another way to bridge that gap is just bring the Fantastic Four in, and then Doctor Doom comes next.
That would be so insane if like Doctor Doom pulls up at the end. I would lose my mind.
This would be one of the best like redemption like MCU redemption arcs for this show because at the beginning of this show, at least for episodes 1 and 2, I was like, how is this connected to the MCU? And then if they bring in Quicksilver, X-Men, and the Fantastic Four and Doom, if that actually ends up happening, that's going to be one of the most insane
And
things ever.
Mephisto and even Grim Reaper from that commercial that we saw teased. This might be really insane, right?
Yeah, for
A
sure.
giant cast of characters.
They could bring in a lot of people. And so, any theories for episode 7 are basically like there's just there's nothing we can say at this point because they've changed the game every single time. Unless a leak shows up tomorrow, episode 7, in my opinion, is just going to have the big cameo and then hopefully a villain reveal.
Yeah, but one thing I'd like to note before we close this off is the cameo. While it very well may be Reed Richards, could also be Magneto, because we know that Evan Peters, Quicksilver's dad in the Fox movies, is Magneto, and we also know that there might be some commonality in their histories because there was a flashback scene of Wanda and Pietro as kids going to Sokovia and Halloween. So
Hmm.
maybe Magneto might show up at the end, but
For sure.
who knows?
The way this show does, they just anyone can show up at any time. I thought Quicksilver was gonna be revealed a whole lot more comprehensively, but he just walked up to the door, ding dong, he's here.
Yeah,
Same thing could happen with Magneto, and that would be a very interesting dynamic to see because
certainly.
he's technically the grandpa of Wiccan and Speed and the father-in-law of Vision. So I would really enjoy seeing that.
He's also a badass in general, so I think he could really
Yeah,
deal some damage.
and honestly, let's just be real for a second. If I was an android made primarily of metal and my father-in-law was Magneto, I'd be a
I'd be
little nervous
worried.
around him too. So that would be really funny.
All right, so that's all we got for this episode. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Let's get some conversation going. Also, let us know what your theories are for future episodes. We'll be here responding to you down below. So for now, hasta la vista.